Hey folks, I'm Saunders. Derek Bell here. St. Vincent College just wrapped up the Steelers' 10th practice of training camp 2025. A pretty spirited one, full pads for their final practice this week before an off day. On Monday, DB, we got a treat to goal line practice at the end of this, where Mark Robinson played fullback. We'll get into that a little bit. But overall, a struggle for the offense today again.
Yeah, very dominant day again for the defense. 6-1 and 7 shots. Really been a theme over the last 3 days, at least that I've been here. The defense just feels, I think that's the biggest takeaway. The defense feels light years ahead of where the offense is. Even though, we haven't seen much Cam Hayward, haven't seen much TJ Watt in team periods, but the rest of the first string defense looks really good. I feel like the defensive backs have really been swarming. There hasn't been a lot of separation. It's kind of led to a lot of scramble drills for the quarterbacks. And even the front, that was a big takeaway from me today. Guys like Derek Harmon being able to, hold up blocks, eat double teams. And we saw Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen come flying down, lay some big hits today in the team run period. So really just overall, very decisive day for the defense.
Yeah, and I think today, a couple things we saw that we haven't seen. First and 7 shots. Yeah, another win for the defense, and they've won a bunch. But just the ball hitting the turf, the offense not on the same page. It's one thing if you throw up a contested pass and somebody breaks it up or something like that, but just guys not getting open or Rodgers and Rudolph not able to find them. But I think 4 passes hit the ground and 7 shots, that's not what you want as an offense. And that's one of those, it's not good for the team either. It's not like the defense made some spectacular play and then you just say, oh, we'll chalk that up to the other guys.
Yep.
The other thing for me is really got some good team run periods today. I think that was the most we've seen in terms of team run with the pads on, and there were not a lot of running lanes. And that was the whole first team offensive line together for the first time. We had Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo both taking mostly full reps, and there's no Cam Hayward, there's no TJ Watt, and guys still weren't getting moved.
I say, too, Alex Highsmith unfortunately went out early today with a groin injury, which Mike Thomas said will have to require some further examination. But even the backup edge rushers, man, Nick Herbig.
Sawyer is so good against the
yes,
run. My gosh.
Nick Herbig today, I think we know what he can do as a rusher, but there were a couple instances where he was on the front side of some outside zone plays, did a good job, resetting the line of scrimmage, turning the ball back to his help. And then even Sawyer, he's made a couple of nice plays in the backfield, and then he ran one play down, an outside zone play to the opposite side. So, those guys, they really looked the part, and not that you want a guy like, Highsmith to be down with an injury, and we don't need to see TJ Watt in a setting like this necessarily because we know what he can do. But just given the other tackles, good reps, good on good type of reps between Fautanu and Jones, and then just the depth at the position to where if Highsmith does have to miss some time, I think you feel a little bit better about maybe than a guy like Calvin Austin missing time right now at the receiver position. Leads to probably more questions than answers on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, the one guy there I think has continued to stand out is Scotty Miller. Had a great day today, probably the best day of any player on offense. Again, I really feel like he's put himself in conversation to be on the right side of the roster bubble. But DB, overall, what's your level of concern with this offense right now?
Yeah, I think, it's really difficult to assess quarterback performance, when those guys don't have any type of threat, of being hit. That being said, they have struggled to move the ball through the air. So I am a little bit concerned, but not necessarily solely because of what's transpired in practice. Just when you look at the overall talent, like you said about Scotty Miller, it's good that a guy like Scotty Miller can come in and string together a couple good practices in a row, but it is a little bit concerning when he's been pretty clearly the second best wide receiver here with Calvin Austin, on the sidelines. DK didn't practice yesterday, but DK, even though him and Rodgers, you can still see that the rapport between those guys is still a work in progress, I guess is the best way to put it. But he's still getting open. They've missed on a couple of deep shots together that I think eventually that chemistry will be there and they'll hit. But the other guys are really struggling to get open, even when they've been in their one-on-one, two-on-two type of competition settings. This defensive back room, which is really talented, I think we both agree that, top down, there's a lot of good depth there, but they've really won those battles pretty decisively. So it is a little bit of a concern.
And today did that without Joey Porter Jr., without Corey Trice, without Dante Kent. He's a big name, but that means the lower depth chart guys are stepping up, and they were still doing well. Just wrapping up the rest of the injury front, Keanu Benton back, DJ Thomas Jones back from what was a scary injury. We thought maybe very significant. And Ryan McCollum back from the left leg injury. I was working with the second team offensive line today. So a couple guys back. Alex Highsmith obviously is the only guy. Lost to practice today. And Gareth Warren was the only new injury. I know that he didn't practice today. Not sure what's up with that. Third team tackle. We'll keep an eye on that. All right, I teased it at the beginning. We had a goal line period at the end of practice. The Steelers lined up with an extra offensive lineman on the field, Spencer Anderson, as the nipple rubber, as Randy Figner so eloquently coined him. Okay, we've seen that before. And then there was fullback in the backfield, which of course we've seen a lot of it. We've seen Jonnu Smith play fullback. We've seen Connor Hayward play fullback. Not Mark Robinson. 93 out there in white playing fullback, and let me tell you, he hit Patrick Queen so hard that Queen just rolled over on his back at the end of the rep, wincing. Is this something that could work, or is this just Mike Tomlin being nuts at training camp?
I mean, I think if anything, it just adds a little. Like I thought today there was just a lot of pads popping, and I just thought it really was a good fit for the atmosphere. And like you said, like that collision between him and Queen, it was like two runaway freight trains. You know what I'm saying? Like hitting each other 100 miles an hour. But that's like what you love. Like that's kind of the spirit of that type of drill, right? You want to finish practice on a high note. It's been a really physical one. So it was getting a little bit hot out there later in the day too. So I just think, from Mark Robinson's standpoint, with the ascension of Peyton Wilson and, Cole Holcomb, what's his role going to be now that he's back in the fold? And still, like, they signed Malik Harrison, too. The depth chart at middle linebacker is it's pretty deep. I feel like it's going to be difficult to get playing time on defense. So it's kind of like one of those things where we know he can play special teams, but can you do something else? Robinson, many moons ago when he was in college, like, he started out as a running back. So, and I think everybody knows there's one thing about Mark Robinson. He wants to hit somebody. Like, he doesn't necessarily, like, he's like a missile without a target guy. So I thought it was a cool wrinkle. I mean, we saw a little bit of the 04 personnel again today.
Yeah.
The lone good thing that happened with the offense near the end zone today was they threw a fade to Darnell Washington. I know the YouTube comments are going to love that. They're going to be begging and pleading for that. But he went up and, kind of mossed. I think it was Miles Killebrew in the back of the end zone. So it was a nice catch from him. Speaking just like one other observation that I had about like the secondary in general, I think Juan Thornhill has been really solid over the past couple of days. Really been doing a good job of communicating with the teammates, but also just driving on throws. Like he broke up a number of passes.
He had one on Will Howard where it was like a Dikembe Mutombo style, like get that out of here.
Yep. They were in a split field look. They were running a little smash concept. Howard was late getting to the corner, and Thornhill had a really nice break on it. Probably could have picked it off. It looked like he might have jumped a little bit too early, but I've been really impressed with, there hasn't been a lot of deep balls going over his head. I haven't seen a lot of miscommunication, and that's something that I've noticed about GA too, just like really preaching that with the defensive back room. And then I'm really interested to see, now that we're less than a week away from, the first preseason game, I'm really interested to see what happens with the backup safeties. If we expect them to keep four, and it's going to end up being, Elliott, Thornhill, Killebrew, and I think Chuck Clark's even has some really nice moments. If it ends up being those four, what does the practice squad situation look like? Sebastian Castro had a one-handed interception today. He's made a couple of plays.
Got his hands on another one. There was a play. DJ Thomas Jones went up. It was a high pass, went off his fingertips. Castro was breaking down from the safety position. The ball changes directions. He sticks his arm out. It goes off his arm up in the air. Max Hurlman, the last guy back there, catches it. Nobody to catch him for a touchdown. Yeah. But Castro's been around the ball a lot lately. I think he's been coming on the second week of camp. I think he's really shown something. I think he's going to push. Chuck Clark, funny story from today. They were in a live, it was a team run period, but they ran a pass in the team run period. It was like a play action, little swing angle route to Kenny Gainwell. Clark was playing safety. He came crashing down on it. He just kind of wrapped his arms around him and let him go, and Gainwell takes off and runs down the field. And I caught him after practice. I said, "Did you just forget it was live?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I've never done this much live tackling in a practice, like tackle to the ground." He's like, "Stud, sure, but like this is," and it would have been I now want to know like what the result of that hit would have been, because he was coming down hard, and it would have been a pretty big pile up, but. Just a little perspective there on how physical the Steelers are at training camp.
And another guy, too, that I want to mention for kind of like maybe a practice squad spot for the defensive back room is Wendell Johnson from Michigan. He didn't play a lot last year except for in the preseason, but a guy they brought in, he had back-to-back interceptions yesterday when they were in one-on-ones, and like to do that in a one-on-one type of setting where the offense obviously has the advantage, really impressive. So he was, a guy coming out of Memphis that, he had played in a bunch of different alignments, a bunch of different spots in the slot, in the post, playing in the box. So I'm excited to see like what those guys look in the preseason. But I mean, if you're a Steelers fan, it's hard not to be like really excited about like what this defense looks like right now.
Yeah. A couple other practice squad guys I think have been playing pretty well. Rock Taylor, Keyshawn Williams, both of the young wide receivers felt pretty good again today. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here for the St. College off day tomorrow, but we'll still have a normal banquet of Steelers Morning Rush, Steelers Afternoon Drive, all the good stuff here for you on the YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe. Until next time, for Derek Bell, I'm Alan Saunders. Enjoy.